Hi there, everyone. Welcome to The Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's August 27th. Today is National Banana Lovers Day. Botanically speaking, the banana is a berry. And banana trees are not trees. The banana plant is a giant herb. Under a black light, ripe bananas glow a beautiful bright blue, and scientists believe this is a signal to banana-eating animals like insects and bats that can see UV light. In 1690, the first shipments of bananas reached Salem, Massachusetts. They tried boiling them with pork. Needless to say, it wasn't a hit. And it took another 200 years for bananas to catch on in North America. Today, average U.S. banana consumption is almost 30 pounds per person per year. And most people are aware that bananas are facing a huge threat in the form of a pathogenic fungus called Fusarium wilt, tropical race 4, or TR4, or Panama disease. TR4 was first discovered in Taiwan in the 1990s. It is slowly making its way around the world. Just this month, on August 8th, researchers confirmed that TR4 is infecting banana plants in Latin America, and Colombia declared a national state of emergency. This may seem extreme or overreactive to people who don't realize that the fungus TR4 lives in the soil for decades, making the land unlivable for future banana crops. TR4 first attacks the roots of the plant before spreading through the rest of it. Unfortunately, fungicides do not work against TR4. Now, we wouldn't be enjoying bananas at all if it wasn't for Sir Joseph Paxton, the English gardener, architect, and politician who cultivated the Cavendish banana. He named it after William Cavendish, the 6th Duke of Devonshire. In November 1835, 5 years after receiving a specimen imported from the island of Mauritius, Joseph Paxton's plant finally flowered, and by the following May, it was loaded with more than 100 bananas, one of which won a medal at that year's Horticultural Society show. Today, bananas still grow on the Devonshire estate, and the Cavendish banana is the most consumed banana in the Western world. It accounts for 99.9% of bananas eaten in the Western world. And talk about history repeating itself. The Cavendish banana actually replaced a tastier version that was wiped out by a fungal disease in the 1950s. So we've been through this before. Today, work is underway to create a Cavendish banana replacement. Earlier this month, a scientist predicted eventually it will not be possible to produce the Cavendish banana variety for international trade. And today is also the birthday of Maria van Oosterwijck, who was born on this day in 1630. Oosterwijck was an incredible Dutch Golden Age painter, specializing in flower paintings and still life. Her art was rich, vividly detailed, and incredibly realistic. Her flowers and ornate vases were often set against a very dark background and featured flowers like sunflowers, roses, carnations, hyacinths, parrot tulips, berries, and her most famous paintings included a red admiral butterfly. Oosterwijck's paintings were purchased by kings and emperors after she smartly secured an agent to market her work. In her 40s, her studio was opposite another flower painter by the name of Willem van Alst. He attempted to woo Maria, but her heart belonged really only to her art. When he kept asking her, she finally agreed to marry him if he could prove that he could match her work ethic. He needed to paint every day for 10 hours a day for a year. Only then would she marry him. Well, he couldn't do it, and Maria remained single throughout her life. Today is the birthday of the botanist Edwin James, who was born on this day in Vermont in 1797. As a young man, James compiled the very first flora of Vermont plants. James went on one of the first expeditions of the American West from Pittsburgh to the Rocky Mountains. He discovered the mountain columbine, Aquilegia caerulea, which ultimately became known as the Colorado blue columbine and the state flower of Colorado. An account of James' climb of Pikes Peak said, "A little above the point where the timber disappears entirely commences a region of astonishing beauty, covered with a carpet of low but brilliantly flowering alpine plants." James's phrasing, "a region of astonishing beauty," became the title of a 2003 book on the botanical history of the Rocky Mountains by Roger Lawrence Williams. After the expedition, James married and settled in Burlington, Iowa. His home was a stop on the Underground Railroad. James died in 1861 after an accident. A monument to James was installed on Pikes Peak, and the Des Moines County Medical Society planted Rocky Mountain blue columbine on his grave in the Rock Springs Cemetery. Newspaper accounts said the location was in the most picturesque part of southeastern Iowa. And today is the anniversary of the death of the botanist Emil Christian Hansen, who died on this day in 1909. Prior to Hansen, brewing was a volatile experiment, and batches could easily get infected with disease. Hansen forever changed the brewing industry with his discovery of a way to separate pure yeast cells from wild yeast cells. Hansen's method was created while he was working for the Carlsberg Laboratory. But Carlsberg Labs did not patent the process. Instead, they decided to publish it, sharing all the details with brewers around the world. Hansen named the yeast after the lab, and samples of Carlsberg No. 1, as it was called, were sent to breweries around the world by request and free of charge. Within 5 years, most European breweries were using Carlsberg No. 1. By 1892, American breweries, Pabst, Schlitz, and Anheuser-Busch, were manufacturing their beers with pure yeast strains. Emil Hansen was a Renaissance man. In addition to his work in botany, he attempted careers as an actor, a portrait artist, a teacher, and an author. He wrote under a pseudonym. And it was Emil Hansen who made the first Danish translation of Charles Darwin's Voyage of the Beagle. Today is the birthday of the English botanist Brian Lawrence Burt, who went by Bill. Burt died in 2008. He's remembered for his contributions to the family Gesneriaceae, the family that includes African violets. When Burt started going on plant expeditions in 1951, the Gesneriaceae family was poorly represented. Thanks to his work, plants were sent to Edinburgh, which became the hub for the plant family. Burt's collections started trends in England, making both the African violet and the streptocarpus household plants. The common name of streptocarpus, or streps as they are called, is the Cape primrose. And if you look online, you'll see a picture of Bill Burt standing in a forest in South Africa on one of his botanizing trips. In his hands, he's holding a very large Streptocarpus grandis leaf that looks to be about 4 feet tall. And today in 1971, restaurateur and local fresh food activist Alice Waters opened California's iconic Chez Panisse restaurant in Berkeley. Waters never intended to be a chef or to start a revolution. She just wanted to open a nice little restaurant that served fresh, good-tasting food. When the restaurant opened on this night in 1971, Alice Waters personally greeted her customers at the door. Today's unearthed words are from Sarah Orna Jewett's The Courting of Sister Wispy from 1887. This was one of those perfect New England days in late summer where the spirit of autumn takes a first stealing flight like a spy through the ripening countryside, and with feigned sympathy for those who droop with August heat, puts her cool cloak of bracing air about leaf and flower and human shoulders. Today's book recommendation is Nueva Salsa by Rafael Palomino. Rafael Palomino is a world-famous chef, restaurateur, and cookbook author. This cookbook, Nueva Salsa, was published in 2003. Salsas offer tremendous flavor, variety, and spice. They're quick and easy to make at home, and Nueva Salsa features over 60 fantastic recipes, including tomato-based versions, as well as salsas that are Asian-inspired. There's a decadent fruit salsa and 3-berry salsa, which is the perfect accompaniment to desserts, shortbreads, and ice cream. You can get used copies of Nueva Salsa for a little over $1 on Amazon using the link in today's show notes. Today's garden chore is to incorporate more tall herbs into your garden by utilizing the area in the back of your beds. Herbs like dill, comfrey, hyssop, fennel, and lovage work great in the back of your ornamental beds. They're tall, often wispy and plumy, and they almost disappear into the background of your border. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. 110 years ago today, a little article appeared in the St. John Weekly News out of St. John, Kansas. It was titled Making Home Attractive, and it was written by Ruth Cameron. Here's what it said. There ought not to be such a thing as an unlovely home outside the city the next 2 months. For all the threadbare, barren spots of the poorest home may be covered and healed by the beauty brought in from the outside. It takes but a very little time to bring some of the flowers that bloom in the fields and gardens into the house. And yet, many a time, I've seen the garden gay with rose and poppy, pansy and nasturtium, and the house flowerless, or maybe illy decorated with 1 or 2 bowls of half-decaying flowers. You haven't just the little time necessary? Then make it the children's daily task to keep the flower vases freshly filled. Teach them to have a pride in it. And not only will you have beautified the house thereby, but you will also have curtailed Satan's proverbial chance of hunting up mischief for idle hands. If you can possibly manage it, and it's worthwhile trying to make the time, even if you have to leave a few specks of dust on the mopboard behind the bookcase, go out occasionally with the children and help them gather the flowers. Teach them the harmony of color and grace of arrangement. Perhaps in doing the latter, a principle that an artist friend taught me may help. If possible, never rearrange flowers, he said. Just as you gather them is nature's arrangement, and it is best. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.